there fellow travelers, Mark here with Wolters World. We're at the Chateau Chenanceu in the Loire Valley here in France, and it is obviously gorgeous here. And what we have for you today are kind of like 5 tips for visiting the Loire Valley and seeing the chateaus around here. Very easy to get to from Paris and other places in France. It is a really cool place. But if you're going to come here, we got 5 tips for you. The first thing you need to know is there are tons of chateaus here. Yes, I know this is Chateau Central, the Loire Valley, but there really is so many out here that you can't see them all. You shouldn't even try to see them all. So what I recommend you do is, do your research beforehand to see which ones really kind of ring to you. This one obviously with the beauty it has and the history of the love triangle with the king and Catherine de Medici and you know, the Poitiers and all these kind of things, Diane de Poitiers. There is so much history in here, but there's history in all the chateaus and you can learn about them. And in Blois, you'll know that that's where, you know, Da Vinci was for the last 3 years of his life, and he's actually buried in the Chateau d'Amboise. But do your research beforehand to figure out which one of the chateaus you really want to go see. And I do not recommend seeing more than 1 or 2 a day because they start to kind of bleed together and you know, you get kind of chateaued out. So if you want to really enjoy it, make sure you only see 1 or 2 chateaus a day, and then enjoy a village or go, you know, do some of the other activities that are here. Great biking when you're here. You can go to wineries and stuff like that. Now the second thing you should know is if you're going to be coming to the Loire, the public transport is okay. I mean, there's actually a train stop right here at the Chateau, and if you want to go to Amboise or Tours, there's train stops there, there's buses that go a lot of places, and so you can do it with just public transport. However, I do recommend you actually do have your own car to drive around because some of these chateaus aren't as easy to get to without your own transport, or there's limited time so you can get in and get out to catch those buses. So make sure if you can get your own transport, you do. One issue I will say is make sure you're used to driving roundabouts, and parking can sometimes be tough when you're going into the towns and the villages, and in the summer though as well. It can be really packed in the parking lots. At the chateaus themselves, if you're coming off season, there'll be plenty of parking. Even if you have a bigger van like we do, we have Big Bertha with us here that we're driving with, or Jocelyn's driving with, so that can be one thing you should know. Third thing, when you're looking to find a base, there are some bigger towns around the Loire Valley you can stay in. Now, I mean, Tours is a city kind of thing. You can stay there, but if you want to be close to the Loire, I recommend staying in Amboise or Blois. Amboise is smaller, but it's cute. It's got the Chateau in there, and it's got the Clos d'Ossay where Da Vinci lived for the last few years of his life, and those kind of things. If you go to Blois, you've got the castle there, the cathedral there, and stuff like that. It's a bigger city, a little bit tougher for parking, but you can stay in bigger cities and base yourself out of, and that's why I'd say look for those. If you do have your own transport, you can stay out in the countryside, which is very nice. It's just you do have to drive in to get to the restaurants for dinner, and just know that dinner sometimes, you know, the restaurants aren't open until 7 at night. Though that leads us into the fourth thing you should know is the infrastructure here is really well done for tourists. There are lots of hotels and B&Bs and Gites and all those kind of things, so you can find places to stay. There are also a lot of cheap places to eat. I know when you come to France, you're spending usually a lot of money on food, but just know there's a lot of options here that aren't pricey. But also you should remember, when you are going to be buying your food, you don't have to tip, and the taxes are already included, so sometimes that makes the high prices seem a little bit lower when you realize, you know, 20% of that is tax and service stuff. So you're like, oh, okay, that's already included, whereas in the US it wouldn't be. Also with that infrastructure, with those buses, and there's a lot of tours here you can do. You can sign up to do the bike tours, you can sign up to do the winery tours and those kind of things, do chateau tours. All the chateaus have good guides, audio guides that'll give you a background of all the stuff, the history and all those kind of things, so that is pretty cool. And the fifth thing you should know about coming to the Loire Valley is actually it is pretty easy to get here from Paris. It's only between 1.5 hours, 2 hours to get here from Paris on the train. So what's cool is if you have a night flight out of Paris, you can actually come to see, you know, Chateau in the morning and then go and grab your train in the afternoon to get there in time to get your evening flight. Or if you're flying in from the US, you can fly into Charles de Gaulle, catch the train or the RER to get the trains out here, wherever, to get to the train stations, and you can be out here by the afternoon or even midday, so you can come and see some of these chateaus during the afternoon and evening. And if you're going to a place like Amboise in the summertime, they have a light and sound show at their chateau and all kinds of great stuff. Anyway, those are just 5 little tips for visiting the Loire Valley. If you want to learn more, 5 things you love and hate about Loire, 10 things that'll shock you about France, check us out on our website at woltersworld.com. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and we really appreciate your likes and subscriptions, and you have a great time here in the Loire Valley. It is beautiful with all the chateaus. Au revoir.